I want to start with this. Last night's game in the NBA Finals. How much did you watch? It was over at the half. Literally, series felt over at the half as Goran Dragic hurt his foot, and now Bam Adebayo's hurt his shoulder. Both, by the way, are out for game 2. But it felt like, felt over. Just felt completely and totally over at the half. That's crazy. But I actually feel bad for LeBron James. Look, I know you got people. I saw this quote from Mike Greenberg, who I admire. He's big in this business. It was like, this could be the beginning. It feels like the beginning of something special, like a three-peat. Like, easy, dude. The Warriors chose to not compete this year. Next year, the Nets will be legit. We're still the Nuggets are still at least a year or two away. It feels the same with the Utah Jazz. And oh yeah, by the way, all of these super teams that have been put together, most of them take a year, like the LA Clippers. They're still going to have Kawhi and Paul George, or some mix of somebody with Kawhi if they tries to move on from Paul George, whatever. Like, not excuses, just explanations. And LeBron is going to be a year older. And at 36, things begin to turn. And there were signs this year where he wasn't the same athletically. Now, look, I'm going to give all the credit, or a good portion of the credit, for Anthony Davis's emergence as a superstar in the playoffs to LeBron James. Because the people I know and I trust within the Lakers organization, within the league, are like, look, he is all in on making AD believe that he's as good as anybody who plays the game, and he's playing like it. But, I mean, they didn't play the Clippers. When they played the Nuggets were coming off of 2 7-game series when they had to come back from 3 games to 1 in each of those series. Previous to that, they played the Rockets, who were coming off a 7-game series, and if we're honest, this is the worst Rockets team that they've had in the last 5 years. The coach is gone. They already tried everything to make it work. They only had one way of playing, and no one thought it would work in the playoffs. So, yes, you're in the bubble. Yes, it's taxing mentally. They also got 2 games off when they were fatigued and they were kind of done with the bubble, and then their families arrived and it reinvigorated them. So a lot of things have actually gone their way, much like the Warriors when they won their first NBA title, and every team they played had their point guard out for at least 2, if not more, of the games. Remember, Kyrie got hurt in game 1, and Kevin Love didn't even play in the NBA Finals. Those aren't excuses. They're just explanations for an easier path than you normally get. Doesn't mean the Warriors wouldn't have still won. Doesn't mean the Lakers wouldn't have still won. But the idea that a year later, when everybody else is reloading and retooling and should be better and younger, it doesn't feel to me, if you put it into that context, like this is some dynamic dynasty team that everyone in the league is scared of. I talked to one of the coaches of the Clippers last night, and he was like, we win game 5 or game 6. We feel like we're playing today because everyone knows we were the toughest matchup in the league for the Lakers. But look, the Clippers are probably better than the Lakers. They just didn't win one extra game. And because that happened, this is what we're left with. But man, this is going to be a bad series. Tyler Hero was a minus 31. Like, what? I mean, a minus 31. They could not guard Anthony Davis, man or zone. They could not guard LeBron James, man or zone. And they couldn't score and get good looks. The Lakers stomped the Heat, and they missed 13 consecutive threes at one point in the game. Wasn't like they came out and just whap, 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 and hit a button. No, they didn't even shoot well. And you take out Dragic, and you take out Adebayo, which means, Mike, on a Friday night, when most of the country is coming out of quarantine, a lot of the country has Friday Night Lights, high school football. You have date night. You got your family. Friday night, are you going to watch game 2 for more than a half? And then Sunday night, granted, not a great football game, right? I mean, it's the Niners against the Eagles. Not a great football game, but an important one. But it's the NFL. Are you going to switch over? I think we all know the answer to it. It's going to be one of those. It feels slightly bigger than TBT, the basketball tournament, considering it's in a bubble. And that's no fault of LeBron James. No fault. And honestly, no fault of the NBA. They're like, look, we're going to do it, and we're going to do it, and we're going to. And it's been a relative success. But that game didn't feel any different than any other NBA game. And it felt really, really weird and really over at halftime of the first game. And now with your knowledge of those injuries, you almost wish that the Heat would just go, hey, you know what? We're good. We had a good run. We just don't have the dudes for this. And I'm not sitting here saying LeBron is anything short of outstanding. I'm not. And historically, we're not going to look back and go, yeah, he won a title, but he won one during quarantine in the bubble. Nobody's going to do that. I know we don't do that because the Spurs have what? How many titles do they have? And how many came during lockout shortened years? 2 of them. But no one mentioned them. No one says, well, David Robinson and Tim Duncan, they won that title in a lockout shortened year. Nobody says that. But they do point out that those were the lowest rated NBA finals when they beat the then New Jersey Nets in what was, you go look back, there were some stars in both of those teams. But between style of play, feel of it, just wasn't great. I feel bad because what LeBron's done in embracing the coaching of Frank Vogel, in leading this team defensively, in invigorating Anthony Davis, like that is the stuff of legend. And at 35, he's kept himself in incredible peak physical condition. And I don't think there's any question that he's figured out how to lead this bunch better than Kawhi has figured out how to lead his bunch. Look, Giannis may be more athletically talented at this point in his career than LeBron is, but LeBron understands basketball at a much higher level and is much more refined than Giannis. The case for value and most valuable player could not be made more clear by watching the playoffs. All of that said, dude, nobody's going to watch the next couple games. It doesn't feel like a fair fight. It doesn't feel like it's that fun. It doesn't feel like it's that big. No matter how big it will be viewed historically.